Welcome back to the Bro Let's Talk podcast. This is Paul Metellus, your host, Assistant Director for Student Success with the Brotherhood Initiative, and I'm super excited to be joined by some of our current scholars to answer some of our frequently asked questions about the Brotherhood Initiative. We have some of our current scholars in our freshman and sophomore class and our peer mentors think about like where they were at 2-3 years ago, 4 years ago, when they were applying to the Brotherhood Initiative, when they received their letter saying, hey, congratulations, welcome to the UW, you should apply to the BI, or when they got their email or when they got their brochure in the mail. And so we gathered some questions that we think are the most pertinent that you're probably thinking through right now about like, is this experience for me? Is this program for me? And I can quickly say that it is, but we're just going to have some of my scholars just like share and answer some of the questions that you may have. And then again, we have some other opportunities in the coming weeks, hopefully that you'll be able to engage with us as we begin to share more about the Brotherhood Initiative. So I'm going to have our scholars go around and introduce themselves, and then we're going to hop into some questions.
All right, so my name is Moti Galetto. I'm a cohort 6 scholar, and I intend to major in business and finance.
I'm Edric Weathers. I belong to cohort 5 of the Brotherhood Initiative, and I'm a chemical engineering major.
What's up, y'all? I'm Noah Stanagar. I'm a cohort 3 senior out here, and I'm majoring in information systems and marketing.
Yeah, I'm Arun Hendrickson. I'm part of cohort 4, and I'm currently majoring in neuroscience.
My name is Daniel Garcia. I'm also a cohort 4 scholar, and I'm majoring in education and math.
That's like the slowest I've ever heard like Arun speak. So thank you again to our scholars. We have a mix of some of our current peer mentors, former peer mentors. We have some of our students who are current, all of them in one capacity or another serve as student leaders within the Brotherhood Initiative. And so these are some of the best minds to answer some of these questions that you may have and maybe wondering right now. So we're going to hop in, get into it, and we're going to break this up by a couple of different ways. We have a couple of different questions just to make it easier for you to understand like what the BI is. And so just to get us started, we'll just talk about just like the overall structure about the BI. So the number one question that we receive like every year, and you're probably asking the same question as well, is the Brotherhood Initiative, is the BI a fraternity? Is this Greek life? What is this? And so, or what is it not? So Edric, if you don't mind just like kicking us off and answering like the most frequently asked question that we always get every year.
Yeah, so when I was a newly admitted student, I also sort of thought the BI was going to be something similar to a fraternity, and it is not, and it has nothing to do with, it's not involved in the Greek life system. Whether or not they'd like to admit it, I feel like a lot of students, when they get here, they join frats for the party culture. And the BI is not so much focused on partying and all that, but they're more focused on career and professional development and getting men of color to walk the stage. And so even though that does sound a bit mundane compared to partying, I think that the connections that I've made in the BI have been more real than anything you can get in the Greek system at UW. So it's not a fraternity, not in Greek life, but I think that the sense of brotherhood that you get from being in the BI is probably better than what you get in a fraternity.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks for answering that. So you may be looking at the documents that we've sent you, your email, and you're hearing about a freshman year seminar, sophomore year seminar, and wondering like, okay, outside of the freshman and sophomore year, like, am I no longer in the BI? What does like my involvement look like? And, what are there ways to stay involved with the BI past our time here in the freshman and sophomore year? And so Arun and Noah, would you mind just speaking a little bit more about like what has life looked like outside of your freshman and sophomore year in the Brotherhood Initiative?
Yeah, so as soon as sophomore year ended, I was like, dang, like I'm not gonna see these guys in class every week. Like every week we're together for like 2 hours, and we have a good chunk of time together to like catch up, just like spend time as like a group. It's like a really built tight community. But once that ended, I was like, when am I gonna see them anymore? But once I got to that point, I realized there's like a ton of opportunities to stay connected with everyone. weekly, monthly, bi-weekly, we got everything from events from just like lower classes, trying to connect with them from the upper classes, the lower one. We also just got normal social events, lunches, just always happening in our building. One thing that I personally think is the best way of keeping in touch is the peer mentorship program. We have this whole thing where they can connect the older brothers from the earlier cohorts with the freshman class and kind of into like their groups and make sure they're getting everything they need, but also foster like a more tighter community. So there's tons of opportunities to stay interlinked no matter what part of the BI you're in.
Yeah, after sophomore year, it's about how much involvement you want to put into it. So the BI is always hosting, like what everyone said, there's a bunch of different events, such as like cohort gatherings, just for like when you're a senior, you are a lot more displaced and everyone's kind of into their own world. So it's a lot harder to see everyone. So the BI hosts those events just for you to catch up, see these people. Or there's other events to like go to the UW basketball game. They recently just went to the Oregon, UW versus Oregon, free tickets, get plugged. As far as my level of involvement, I could say that like I definitely have tried to stay in the BI's world by like contributing a lot. Right now, I'm the president of the BI's like affiliation club, Brothers in Color, and that's also another way for you to stay involved because we host outside of like the BI's classes, we host events every other week where you're able to see people who are not just in the BI, but then also see these people where you can just catch up, have fun, and then
Also, we have like a good building with everyone in the same area. So when I'm done with class, I just come here and hang out. We got a snack room. I just come get something to eat and like sit in Paul or L's office just to bother them. And like it's great just having a space to hang out without like any obligation to stay and eat, whatever. I just kind of come when you feel like it.
Yeah, so like the the brochures and all the different messages that you're receiving right now in the freshman and sophomore year, there's a 2-credit year-long seminar class, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the seminar class up next. But there's a 2-credit year-long seminar class that you're in it with all the guys in your cohort. And so after 2 years of seeing folks every day, once a week, and sometimes multiple times a week, depending on the event, it definitely is different once you get into your junior year. But the way that I like to say is like the BI's got you from the moment you step on campus to the moment you step off. And so we're here to support you. Moti, as a freshman, I know this is also a question that you probably had and other freshmen who are listening, probably hearing, we've heard about some of the events and all these social events and all these different things that it is to like be involved with the BI. So talk to us a little bit about like your level of participation as well, and like have you had to pay for anything as being part of the BI?
So it doesn't cost a single penny to join the BI, and all the events they're paid for. All the social events are paid for. The only time that you may have to pay out of pocket is if like we go to some sort of like sporting event, or like if we go to like the movie theaters and you want to get your own food perhaps. But most of the time there's like food that's already served before, so you normally don't have to do that. But I didn't have to pay a single dime to join. And then in terms of my level of participation, I actually just got appointed as a student assistant through a work study offered here at the BI. And it's been amazing thus far, being in the building every day and seeing everyone. And I just try to, be involved with my cohort 6 scholar members and just come to events and participate.
Yeah. Yeah. So the BI, we do everything is to enhance your experience. And so, you don't have to pay anything. Like Noah mentioned, we go to basketball games tomorrow. We got to pick up basketball game in the IMA on campus gym. And so they're just different opportunities for you all to get connected. And like Monty said, almost at everything. I was joking with Arun before this, when he had got his own food. I'm like, when do I host something that there's not food at? And so definitely know, like if you're in the BI, you're definitely gonna get fed. So Edric, can you talk to us a little bit about like what is the commitment level of being part of the BI?
I think it's definitely a you get out what you put in type of deal. Now that you're in college, nobody's telling you to turn in assignments, do your homework and all that, not even show up to class, but also like no one's telling you to participate in the events that take place outside of class. And I think that's where the connections are really made. And so I think that if you wanted to do the bare minimum and just show up to class, then the commitment level honestly isn't too bad, but you have to ask yourself, are you really getting out what you wanted from the BI? So I honestly I've, when I was in high school, I wasn't really that involved in extracurricular activities and all that, and I sort of regret it, but upon my admission to the UW, I told myself that I wanted really to get out there and connect with, as many people as I could. So I've tried my best to commit to going to all types of different events, being a peer mentor and all that, and I think it's really paid off. So like I said, I think the commitment level is really what you want it to be, but the more you commit, the more you'll get out of it.
Yeah, I think one thing, Edric was on our intramural team last year, the one that won a championship, and
Absolutely.
we get ready to run it again,
We are.
especially once we go up against Noah's team. So, so speaking of Noah, can you talk to us a little bit about like when you think about like the support that the BI has offered you? So I'm guessing that we have some of our listeners, folks who are listening to us, are just thinking about like, what will I get? What kind of support will I get? And so I think you, who has like this 4-year gap, you've been able to look at like all 4 years of your time here at the UW. Can you talk to us a little bit about like the support the BI has provided you?
Yeah, I guess I'll like touch upon what Edric said as far as like being involved in these other communities, putting in that time to get like the actual true worth of the BI. So I'm an out-of-state student coming here to Washington, not knowing anyone or anything. So being able to like be a part of the BI, that like, as far as other organizations, other like, say you're trying to find other people of color, any of these kind of events, you have to search for them. UW is not just going to press out any kind of like information about these. So that gets really overwhelming when you don't know where to go or anything like that. So it's a BI that's able to help you with that. And then from there, they also have these connections as far as like, say there's a program there's a program called Undergraduate Diversity Services, which is basically like the hub for people of color. So then they're like, depending on your major, the BI is able to help you with that as far as helping you with applications, helping you with like these letters of recommendation, helping you with every step of the way. And then once you're in there, you just kind of continue prospering from there. And then as far as other like things, you like, it just comes with scholarships and the knowledge of being able to know what you should be doing to help yourself. Yeah, it's just an all-around help.
So some other support that you receive is academic support through weekly meetings with either Paul or Ella, and you guys just check in and talk about classes, how they're going, and to get insight about like what classes you may want to take next quarter. And you can even talk to your peer mentor as well and get more insight of that as well. And in terms of personal development through the class, we talk about a lot of personal, a lot of very like personal questions, personal topics that that allow us to really like look into our characters, look into our identities, and just grow. And you also can talk to Paul and Ella and even your peer mentors or even other like older BI members and ask questions like regarding like internships or anything of that matter that may help you.
Moti, you want to give your peer mentor a shout out?
Shout out to Elias or Elias.
Hey, he's gonna listen to this, but I'm put you on blast. Elias.
Welcome. I'm so sorry, bro. I'm so sorry.
Hey, that's like on a test, like you like go with your first answer, like and stick with it. So
Crazy.
So let's talk a little bit, like let's shift gears a little bit, talk about the seminar class. So I know that this is probably one of the biggest questions that you all have about the BI. And so like we mentioned, the BI has a 2-credit year-long seminar class, both in your freshman year and sophomore year. And it's intentional that way, not only because our former scholars asked for especially the sophomore year class. We were originally, when we started the BI, we just hoped to just have like the freshman year class, but our sophomore said, like, we really love this community is impactful, and we've been able to create a pretty strong freshman and sophomore year class that really connects with each other. And so the credits are not just like credits that are like wasteful. They are general education credits. They go to like one of the areas of knowledge that you have to get done here at the university. And so you're getting 12 credits worth done, and it also is a huge GPA booster as well. And so it allows, and then I think the other thing that I appreciate about as just an instructor in the BI and staff support in the BI is that I appreciate about the class that it offers you an opportunity to, like, if you need a lighter quarter and you still need to be at 12 credits for financial aid, you have the BI class to help you out there. So Daniel, can you talk a little bit about, or think about like both in those overarching in both of the classes? Talk about some of the things that you've learned, and how the seminar classes in specific have been beneficial to you in your time here at the UW.
Yeah, so pretty much what Moti was saying has been my experience as well, focusing on those identity development skills, academic skills, professional development skills. As a first generation student, like I didn't know anything coming into this institution, so the BI has been extremely instrumental in really helping me find my footing at the University of Washington. I remember I was taking my Math 125 course. It was like my first math class here at the UW. And I remember opening my homework and just looking at it and just being so lost. And it was so scary because I'm like, this is the first homework assignment for the class. Like, I'm coming into this school having taken like calculus in high school and I'm still lost. What do I do? But the answer to that really came in through the BI when they brought in Therese, who works with the instructional center, which I work at. So shout out to IC as well, which is the tutoring center, and at that time, that was really my introduction. Like I would have never known about that resource just because of how big the UW is. Like we were talking about, they never really make any effort to really advertise those resources, which is like one of the things I've loved so much about the BI, that's been able to connect me to all of that.
I'm sitting here realizing that both you and Arun in your freshman year, we took the freshman year classes all via Zoom. So Arun, before you talk a little bit more about the sophomore class and your experience in the sophomore class, some things that you got there, can you talk just a little bit about like the impact of the BI space in your freshman year from your couch?
Yeah, like I was my BI class is like lying down on the couch, like maybe he wasn't the most awake, but like I would love to listen to that song. But freshman year being online was definitely really isolating because all these classes in these like 300, 400, 500 person Zooms with like no one's cameras on, the rest talking about stuff. I had no idea what was going on. And I was like, dang, what am I doing here? But then I would get to the BI class and I'm like, okay, I know what's going on here. Like I had a community, I had people I could talk to, cameras were actually on. So you had a face to put a name to and everything. It was great. It was really like a constant throughout the whole year when everything was changing so much. Like COVID was there and just like classes were unsure, like all the professors were switching up their teaching styles. But we would always come back to the BI and have this like same community and we can go to and just get like any type of the support we needed. I remember like when I first started that first quarter, because like we had no idea what going to all the classes online were going to be like. And I absolutely bombed my first test. Like it was like bad. Like that it was pretty low. But I messaged one of like the BI staff and I was like, I don't know what to do. And she's like, let me help you out. And so just the advice she gave me and putting me in the right direction just really like fix things up and like succeed later on in college. And so just the BI as a whole freshman year, like really brought everything together. And I could not be more grateful for it. And then sophomore year though, being back in person, we got to have a lot more like involvement outside of just academic stuff. So one example of that is that we have this one like year-long project called the Positive Social Change Challenge. And you get separated into groups based off what your specific interests are and like what you want to impact. But my group was based on providing healthcare services to students here on campus. One big thing that we realized, especially coming from COVID, is that none of our sophomore class knew where the resources were on campus. There's stuff like the Hall Health, which is pretty much a hospital on campus for students, but none of us even knew where it was. None of us even knew it existed. And we really want to help connect people to those resources because there were so many things for them to take advantage of that they just weren't yet because they had no idea they were like even there. So having the opportunity to learn about these resources and then share them with people and even pass that share to like the broader amount of campus really helped prepare me to like put in the work that I didn't get the experience doing my freshman year while I was online in COVID. Other examples from groups that other people in the class did, there was stuff centered on like homelessness and police brutality, and just hearing about these perspectives from other groups really putting in the time and work, maybe you understand like what their passions were, and maybe you want to contribute to those problems in the same ways.
Cool. Yeah, no, you all had some pretty amazing groups, and it was really exciting to see like some of your passion areas, and seeing that in the current sophomore class is also pretty amazing. Moti, as a freshman, as a first year student, can you just talk about like some of the things that you're learning and getting from the class, and like what are some of the like topics that we've been discussing in class over the fall and winter quarter?
So the first quarter, our main theme was intersectionality. So like focusing on identities and the different intersecting identities that we may have, and also just looking down in looking back on our history, and just reflecting on our ancestors and how they contributed to our identities today. And then in this quarter, we're currently talking about sense of belonging, whether that may be social belonging or academic belonging. And essentially, like both of these topics like help you to develop your identity as a whole. And then we also like talk about different professional and personal development topics, like public speaking was one thing we talked about this week. And then a few weeks back, we talked about financial literacy.
Cool. I think one thing that I appreciate about just as a staff member about the BI is how intentional, especially in that fall quarter of your freshman year, we're trying to give you the tips and tricks on how to navigate this space, and just like how to navigate the UW as a male of color, because it's just like a really tough space to navigate. So any of you want to just like share about like what has been your experience just like navigating this like really big space as a male of color, and how has like the BI helped you to navigate that easier?
I could go. I would say that, like, again, just touching upon like the out-of-state student thing, but anyone coming into college, I feel like there's the same boat. UW is a huge campus and it's a big school. There's about 50 to 60,000 people come to this. So that whole aspect of like finding a community and making these other bunch of just different communities makes a big campus feel a lot smaller. It makes it a lot more manageable as far as when like what are the things that cater towards you, who are the people that are going to help you on your journey, but also the people that you can connect with. So especially with UW being a predominantly white institution too, like being a man of color, when like my first class at UW, my first class going to college, like big school, I'm in a 400 person econ room, and there's two other Black people in the class. And so that just is pretty overwhelming when you do see that and you're looking around and there really are not people that look like you. And then those two other people that were in my class, they were also in the BI. So, two of my really good friends. So yeah.
Yeah, I think not trying to like pressure or force anyone's hand, but I feel like it'd be kind of difficult to navigate this institution without being in the BI, especially as a person of color, because in a majority of your classes, you're not going to have a sense of community. Not only will there not be many people who don't look like you do, but classes change every quarter. Most of the time, people are not arranging their schedules to be in, the same class with their friends. They're going to be with different people every single quarter. So being in the BI, it's like I know everyone in the class, and every quarter I'm seeing them. So that really helps me build my, my foundation is built in the BI, so that when I go to these, big lectures, 300, 400 people per, lecture hall, I don't need to find a community in there because I already have one in the BI. And, there's, I know guys in my class who take the same classes I do. That's who I collaborate with. I don't, my community is in the BI. And so I think without it, it'd be kind of hard to navigate through the UW.
I think another big thing that I really appreciate about the BI is the diversity of our students, not just because of the the 5 ethnic groups that we target for our outreach and trying to create this space for. But in that diversity, not everyone looks the same, and not everyone may you know, you may be a Hispanic student, have a Hispanic background, but you may not necessarily look like that, or you may be a Black student, or you have Black genealogy, like one of your parents are Black, but you may not 100% look like that. So, Dan, do you mind just like sharing a little bit about like how has the BI been like a welcoming space for you, even though like you are a Hispanic student, and you may not necessarily 100% look Hispanic to like some students, and you know, so can you talk a little bit about like what is it to be like white passing in the BI, but still have this like rich ethnic and heritage and culture that you identify with?
Yeah, so like we were saying, like a lot of what we talk about in the Brotherhood is just really taking pride in that, you know. A lot of spaces really like try to erase that from us in the sense of like assuming so much about a person. But you know, in the BI, like I know that I belong to that community of color, and that isn't taken away by the fact that I might not look what someone assumes to be as like Hispanic. Um, so yeah, that's been my experience.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for sure. Like I said, the BI is a welcoming space, and we do a lot. Like Moti had mentioned, it's been a whole quarter talking about sense of belonging, because you do belong here in the BI, no matter what you look like, no matter what your background is. So Arun, could you just talk a little bit about like from your personal perspective, how has being a part of the BI benefited you personally?
Yeah, so being part of the BI is probably the sole reason I found any type of success here at the University of Washington. I think on a foundational level, the BIs will connect me to all the resources I was able to like fully utilize to get where I am like right now. I think some of the biggest things they provided me with, like number one above all is Paul. Paul is like the greatest resource you can possibly get coming to the BI, and like on the daily. Like yesterday, he sent me an email about a scholarship, just like an internship. Like I don't know where I went pretty late at night, and I'm like, dang,
Yeah,
he's
that's right.
always on the lookout. Like he's always looking for you. And some of the stuff he sends to me, I'm like, I need to do this. And so one of those things was the McNair program. I'm planning with later on like my professional life, probably getting a PhD, maybe doing an MD PhD. And for those of you guys who don't know what that is, it's a dual professional degree where you become like a medical doctor and like an academic doctor. And I heard about this program called the McNair program through Paul, and I applied and I was grateful enough to get it. And that's a program that kind of like helps, it's similar to BI, help people that are typically underrepresented, like people of color in upper education, kind of find that success. And so that's really pushed me along, helping me succeed, and really benefited me professionally. But outside of that, the BI also prepared me to like get into these professional situations through like the resume help and cover letter help, and like just is advice for getting through interviews. I was able to find the lab job that I have now. I joined this lab pretty early on in college career. I joined at like the end of my freshman year, and ever since then, it's been like the sole place I spend the most amount of time, most amount of my time outside the BI. And I'm very grateful for the support the BI gave me in getting accepted to that position, because now I'm going to be a first author published on a large paper getting sent out to a national journal. And that's the experience I would never have had the chance to be a part of if it wasn't for the BI really getting me to the level of being ready to really compete against other people who are very competitive.
I'll also say that Arun is like very humble, because like he's like presented nationally at like 2 conferences, like one in California a couple of weeks ago, one in DC. Like he's like killing the game. So like he's the one who's like doing all the hard work. So
if it wasn't for the BI like helping me figure out how to like navigate all these situations, I wouldn't be able to like talk comfortably in front of however many people are in the crowd. Because getting up there is scary, but the BI gave me the confidence that I'd be able to like be good in those places.
yeah.
So not only being a part of the BI allows you to have a sense of community where you can meet other people of color and just grow and have a sense of belonging, but I was, like I mentioned earlier, I was blessed to receive a work study position here, and it's been amazing just being around Paul and Ella and being able to assist them and be in the building. And also like having a peer mentor and being able to ask them questions regarding like academic life, your social life, like any type of question I may have. Shout out to Elias.
Let's go.
Sorry, I messed up your name, but best peer mentor. He's one of the most hardworking dudes out there, and just being able to be paired up with somebody that exhibits excellence in life like that, you're able just to soak in so much knowledge as a young freshman, and being able to navigate this university ain't hard, or is hard. So just being able to have a place of mentorship to develop is always good.
Okay.
I think another part of BI that like really benefits everyone who's a part of it is that every year the BI grows, and as it grows and we all like mature and get in these more niche groups, that means you have other potential connections that help you get to the places you want to go. So in upperclassmen, when I first joined, there was this one senior, his name was Madison, and he told me about this club he was a part of, and I never would have heard of it if he wasn't already in it. And that introduction helped me succeed in the whole like medicine side of UW. And that's something I had no connection to previously, but because of the BI, I was able to find it.
So Edric started us off talking about like the BI isn't a huge party scene, but we do host a number of different like social events throughout the quarter. And Noah mentioned some of these. So Noah, if you don't mind just like further elaborating on like what are some of the different social events that the BI hosts and that you've been able to like get connected to in the BI.
Yeah, I can actually, I missed a big event that the BI also hosts, which is the like Italy study abroad program, which also it might turn into another country, who knows, mystery. But I would say that's also one of the huge events that BI, like I almost went for practically free, and that's because the BI like helps you with giving these scholarships, helps you with finding other scholarships. And I can attribute that like Italy trip, that study abroad. One, I should also like plug study abroad if you're coming to UW. Like UW has amazing study abroad programs, and that's something that like it was my summer before my senior year, so I didn't have any other chance to go on a study abroad. So like that's also a way for you to have like this quick short trip. But I would say if you're interested at all doing it, like plan ahead. Definitely go on a study abroad trip. Go on the BI study abroad once you join. But other events that I can talk about are like, well, Paul already mentioned it, but we're about to have the basketball game, the pickup basketball tomorrow. That's where Kings conquer.
This is from a self-proclaimed hooper, by the way.
But yeah, I mean, other events I can talk about is just like hosted through the Brothers in Color. I didn't really touch upon what kind of events that we handle, but last week we just hosted an alumni panel. So as far as like with the Brothers in Color and the affiliation, you're able to have like not only events where you're able to talk with other people, meet people that are outside the BI or inside the BI. We also host these like academic and professional events such as this panel or just get-togethers.
There's also there's a BI flag football and basketball team. I'm currently a part of the the intramural basketball team. I'm not a hooper. I'm there for the intimidation factor. But yeah, it's really cool. I joined last year too. We got the championship. We got a free shirt out of it. I got closer to some of the guys on my team who were from older cohorts, so that was cool. The BI also hosts cohort socials, which is where you basically just gather the scholars from, whichever cohort. And they, have dinner, there's games, just, it's really just to socialize with, your classmates and sort of decompress from school, because it can really be stressful. And then probably the biggest event of the year is the retreat. Freshmen get to go on the retreat. It's in some rural area near Seattle. It's like Sammamish or something. I'm not from the area, but
Camp Bosco.
Camp Bosco something, but it was actually, I regret not going my freshman year, but I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to go as a peer mentor my sophomore year, and it was a lot more fun than I thought it would be. I got to, I learned the names of all the freshmen. I know them pretty well now. I see them around campus. We're cool. There was a lot of games, free food.
Something with the banana and like mustard.
Yeah. It was actually wild. Like
Didn't leave.
yeah, no sleeping. Like the retreat was such a great experience to like start the year off and just really break the ice and meet your classmates. So yeah, that's just some of the events that the BI hosts, and I highly suggest once you join that you attend all of them that you can, because like I said, you get out what you put in. If you invest the time to connect with your brothers, then that connection is really gonna help get you through your time at the UW.
Yeah, and just a number of other different things that weren't mentioned. We host monthly lunches. We do also host study halls as well. So that's also some a way to socially engage with each other and like tap in and lock in academically. We also, a couple of weeks ago, we took a group of about like almost like 25 to 30 guys to go see Ant-Man. And the day before that, we went to the UW versus Oregon men's basketball game. We've gone to football games, and we just host a whole bunch of different events to make sure that like not only within your cohort you have guys that you can just like hang out with and just chill and just talk with it, but then we also have a number of different events outside of the building. The BI does have an office space that where we host the majority of our events, and we have if anything is a selling point to the BI, we got a PlayStation 5. So if you've been trying to get a PlayStation 5 and you want to play it, the BI got you. And so we have a number of different things just to make sure that like outside of the class and inside of the class that you're connected, you have a community here on campus, and like again, that you feel like you definitely belong. So as we get ready to like, wrap up, I would say I just been like really enjoying all these great conversations, everything that everyone's been saying. So Edric, if you can just talk about like just like this last piece of like place. And so Daniel mentioned about like the BI growing, which is great and amazing. And you can just talk about like if someone's like thinking like, okay, even if I do join this community that's for me, that's built for men of color, like how will I know that I'll be able to like still get along with folks, relate to other people, like create like some meaningful connections? And so can you share a little bit about that and how, like the number of different ways that you've been able to do that?
Yeah. So like when I was in high school, I would go to school, go to maybe football practice or whatever, then I'd go home. I really wouldn't make much of an effort to connect with other people. And honestly, nobody's gonna hold your hand and tell you to get out there and put yourself out there in the BI. But if you really just make the effort, then I think you could easily get along with the people in this group. I genuinely don't think there's anyone in any cohort of the BI who is not willing to accept you and, bring you in as a brother. Everybody I've met here is just such a great person. The best friends that I've made at the UW have all been in the BI. You just don't make those connections in the classes, especially the first year classes with 300, 400 people. You're not going to make you're not going to build those relationships in those classes. So honestly, if you just come willing to put yourself out there, you will be able to relate to the people in this group, and you'll fit right in.
Yeah, I know it kind of sounds like how much we've been complimenting the BI. It kind of sounds like we're in a hostage situation.
Yeah.
Like genuinely to summarize all of sorry. But genuinely to like sum it all up, it truly is just like a place where you're coming, like it's a community where you have a bunch of people, like-minded individuals that are coming from culture, coming from diverse backgrounds, where everyone wants to see the other person succeed, At the max that you can get from the BI, genuinely, I didn't touch upon it, but like I'm living in a house with a bunch of different people in the BI. And I know that other groups are forming like that, where you actually are about to have lifelong friends, and I wouldn't have had that unless I joined the BI. I would never have met these guys because we're all coming from different majors, and you don't have that chance to do that in this huge community of UW. But again, just to say, like, the max that you can get from the BI is as much as you want to put in as far as getting this help with resumes, getting this help with like any organization, professional career, all of those aspects. And then the minimum that you get really is a good GPA if you don't want to do anything else. So truly, like, the reason that we're complimenting it so much is because I know everyone can agree is because it's helped us so much. If you take where you are now, when you begin UW to where we are now, I know that everyone can credit so much to the BI.
And Noah, like he went to like kind of just like my last question is to wrap things up. So if we can just hear a little bit about like for our folks who are listening and just like man, this sounds amazing, and just like being like just like one more like cherry on top of the like milkshake or whatever. Why should the folks who are listening, why should they apply to join the BI?
So for me, I think like I really like what Noah said. Like I've made so many amazing friends like through the Brotherhood Initiative. Like it feels so nice to walk through the campus and like recognize people and be able to like wave at them. Like I've had my friends, ask like, why do you know so many people? And I'm like, the Brotherhood, like that's always my answer, and like just like Noah, like one of my roommates is from the Brotherhood, and I would have never met him like if it wasn't for this program. So I'm incredibly grateful for all of those connections.
Yeah, not to copy him, but it's 100% the community, like both in the BI, all the people you find, all the people you encounter in the classroom and staff, but also the community you build through the BI, because like everyone you meet in the BI is gonna have friends outside of the BI. And at some point, if you're tight with the BI guys, you're gonna meet them also. And it's just a community that keeps on growing and growing because anyone that these guys are close with are gonna be great people. And so I cannot be more grateful for all the people I've met because of the BI, because it really made UW a place where I feel like I belong. And it's something I definitely would have struggled with if I came to UW without anything to fall back on.
One thing that I really appreciate about Arun is like when this email went out last year to his brother's like, Arun just said apply, like I need to apply for this, and so I did. Like and like to Arun's point now, like some of the friends that are in his brother's cohort are going to Arun asking for help, and just in my office, like he was just like going through an application and helping them out. And so I really love that kind of like help seeking and like hey, I've gotten here, so I'm gonna carry you along.
Yeah, so for me, being an out of city kid, moving to a new environment and like, trying to navigate in a predominantly white institution, it's a lot trying to find a community where you can fit in. And the BI allowed me to do that. I remember my first couple of days here on campus, I was just mostly sticking with my roommate and my friends that I knew from my home city. I remember when we had the orientation for the BI, just seeing a bunch of people that looked like me in one room, it was very fulfilling. And from then on, I was surrounded around people that look like me. So that's why I'm so thankful for the BI, just allowing me to be around like-minded individuals who not only look like me, but think like me and have similar goals and allow me to reach my true potential as a human being.
Cool.
You get fed too.
Trust me, every event you do, there's food. And so we're definitely gonna look out. And so thank you again for all of our listeners. And I also just want to offer my sincere appreciation, gratitude, and thanks to our older scholars who have spent their time and shared to lend their voices and their experiences about the Brotherhood Initiative. If you are still wanting to find out more information about the BI, follow us on Instagram, pull us up at UW Brotherhood all together, and you'll see a little bit more of the life of the BI. Right now, we have some of our peer mentors talking about a day in the life in the BI, or just a day in the life as a UW student. And so, if you really want to tap in with us and see more about what does the UW experience in general look like, but especially as a BI scholar, follow us on Instagram. But then also we have a couple of other different opportunities for us to engage in person during Admitted Student Day, some Purple and Gold events. And so we definitely look forward to seeing you all on campus. And again, just a reminder, May 3rd, get your application in to join cohort 7 of the Brotherhood Initiative. It is, as you've heard from our scholars, one of the most phenomenal experiences that they've had, and other scholars who are now alums, who are part of our alumni community called the Brothers Forever. Look out for that podcast episode. This has been a transformative experience, and if you want to have the same experience that they've had throughout the whole entire time here at the UW, then tap in with us. We would love to have you. So with that, thank you again for listening to the Bro Let's Talk podcast, and this is Paul and BI Scholar signing out.